Okay, so this tool here is called it's our snow mesh tool. And I just wanted to go over the process of it for everything that's going. So as you can see, we're taking in the mesh and we're using quad remesher right here. And I'm just establishing a target quad count just so I can paint on there. And so we're painting on the tool, or correction, we're painting on the mesh. And I'm using the reference mesh here. And, each section of that model, I actually used the same tool and I just merged it together because each snow was kind of different. Snow on the railings different than snow on the steps. Snow on the doors different than the rest, and snow on the roof is different. It just melts differently where, the wind. And so as you can see here, we're just painting along everything. I used a scatter points method to scatter boxes on it, and then I would voxelize that mesh. But the boxes had a p-scale attribute on it in order to, vary the sizes. And you're going to see that here in a second. So here's the mesh density, and you can see how many points I'm scattering, so it's not too much. And then I go checking it out and adjusting the p-scale going along. Right there, the point density. And then I would voxelize the mesh. And you can see each step in the process. Resolution, smooth strength, and the peak. These are just attributes. The tool, inside the tool, all this stuff is promoted up to the top level of the tool. And it just makes the artist's life easier because they don't know. A lot of them who don't know Houdini or know how the process works, they just need to know what do they need to do in the tool. And you don't need to promote everything, every parameter in the tool. You just need to promote enough for them to use it. If they want more, then you go back in and you promote it. And that's the job of the technical artist, especially working in games, depending on what you do as a technical artist, optimizing, creating tools, shaders. Your job is to just make the artist's and the programmer's life easier, or a designer's life easier by making these tools. So now we're going further. I'm just checking the UVs because it automatically lays the UVs out and blasts primitives underneath. Because of course you're not going to see anything underneath. There's no reason for it to render. And this was also before nanite. And I can go in here and I can check the material, and I'm checking the material against the asset. Now I'm going to go ahead and create another snow mesh, and as you can see, I already did the door a little bit. And now I'm going to go ahead and do, I think the windows is next, and as you can see the process, I'm using quad remesher here, I think I'm keeping it at that target count, and I'm go ahead and painting. And so now the artists have a lot of control in order to paint what they want on here and all this mesh. And the reason why I always kept it separate, like mentioning earlier, is because snow melts differently. And of course it all looks differently on the building when you look at a lot of pictures. And there we go, just painting the rest of the side here. Then after that, we'll, on the back end of the tool, scatters points on there, and we copy the points, some boxes, and then we voxelize the mesh. And that's it. And that's the mesh process. And we have the final mesh. Of course, we don't put out a really huge mesh because we wanted to keep it optimized with stuff. And the sculpt part of this, I actually promoted up later. I think this is one of the early versions of the tool. So this tool was done probably around 2021, I think, for production, if I'm not mistaken. This was done in Houdini 18.5. And yep, there we go, another part. I think I should be doing the roof next. Yeah, so the roof. So now this allowed artists to paint however they wanted to, art direction. There is also another process you can have with this is by using the normals. But I feel like I tried making that process, but it didn't give us much art direction, not a lot of art control. So if you wanted it in certain areas, you had to go in and you had to manually get it out or manually put it in a place, or you were dependent on noises, like procedural noises, but then you couldn't get what you want. This way, in painting it, we're able to give some nice art direction to it, and say, okay, this snow is only in those bottom areas of that corrugated tin instead of all around it like it is. And as you can see here, I'm laying out some just base UVs. I don't think those were the final UVs, actually. I think we used a different method going here. And you can see this one's a bit noisier when you're comparing it to the steps. Right there. Oh, we're not showing the steps. Yeah. So you can see the steps are a bit smoother, a little bit more wear and tear. This one just looks like big clumps, been melting in the sun. Little stuff here and there, water on there. And there you go. And this is the process for the snow mesh. And eventually, if you play the game and you see a lot of these buildings with the snow mesh on there, it was done using this tool. And I believe some rocks were as well. Not even buildings. We had log piles. I'm trying to think what else was in there. But again, here's the buildings right here for it. And that is pretty much the snow tool. So if you have any more or if you have any questions on this or comments, I know I'm still going. Look at that. Oh yes, the railings. Almost forgot about those. So this way, as you can see, it gives you a nice fine control on the railings right here. I think we also had a process you can on the back end. You can also split this out so it's only the pieces you want. But I think because this was a smaller one, I kept it all together. I'm not sure. I'd have to go in. It's been some time. As you can see, I'm scattering the points here. And then it just copies boxes on there. I could adjust the P scale, voxelize the mesh. And then we look at the final mesh, and the final mesh has all the UVs on it. Enable noise, resolution, here. And the final mesh also, this is just sculpting it here just to give a little bit of, melting and difference. And then if we do the final mesh, that's the one that actually, the topology on it, it brings it down, the resolution. Yeah. So you can enable noise on there. Yeah, there we go. So now, just in the quad count. There we go. So now it's optimized for what we needed. Give it some normals. Yep. There we go. All right, so I hope you enjoyed this process of making the hut. If you have any questions, just add them in the comments. Thanks.